Yeah, I know. I have a problem. What you're looking at here is my full TOBY and Trackmaster collection. If you don't know, TOBY and Trackmaster is a line of Thomas merch that consists of motorized engines that are powered by batteries. Then turning an engine on and watching it navigate the hand-built layout on either blue or tan track that you would put together. This is one of the most flexible forms of Thomas merchandise, as you have the option of letting the engine go on its own, or it can freewheel and be pushed along like a wooden or take-along toy, along with working side rods on their wheels. So many possibilities. First started now in 1992, has been going strong ever since. Fell off a bit in 2014, but some people like where it's currently headed, and that's fine by me. I had thought about making this video for a while now, but I never really got around to it since I was always adding more to this collection and just generally having a lot more stuff to do, as well as having other things to make it possible. However, now I feel is a good time to do so. I will still keep adding to this collection, but I'll make more videos on whichever item I can get my hands on. After counting everything on the floor here, there are a total of 124 Thomas characters here. Holy crap, that's a lot of trains. Without further ado, let's dive into my no-life Thomas & Friends motorized collection. We'll head over to the turntable and look at all of them one by one. Starting off this collection, we have a stock standard 2003 Plarail Thomas. In 2003, Plarail updated the main cast of characters to have more details added, like painted faces, boiler lining, white running plates, etc. That's what this version of Thomas here is. This is a good model, but I personally think it's overrated. I see where everybody likes these versions, but to me it just doesn't click. It doesn't really feel like heartfelt Thomas to me, I guess. I still like it, it's very nice, but just not my go-to Thomas. Here we have another Plarail Thomas, but this is a newer one with the CGI style face. And this particular version came with the Thomas and Nia Ace Go-Go Adventure set. What a mouthful. You can tell by the slightly red cheeks on his face. Nice version of Thomas. It's alright. If you want to have a CGI Plarail Thomas, then this is your best bet. Here's a 2006 Hit Toys Thomas. In 2006, when the line transitioned to Hit Toys, they brought back the exact same versions of the TOBY characters with an updated license and white switches on the cabs. This is the version of Thomas I had growing up, and originally came with the Action Canyon set. Goated set, by the way. This isn't the exact Thomas I had as a kid, all of those are long gone now, but pretty much almost the exact same versions of characters I had as a kid are almost lost to time now. But this is just one that was during the early era of the Trackmaster phase and what they started out with, and they used the same mold for quite a while before they eventually changed it. But this is still a good model of Thomas, and it's very nostalgic to me. Here's the 2009 Trackmaster Thomas. In 2009, when Mattel bought Hit Entertainment, they upgraded the whole line to be unified, keeping details like painted faces, accurate wheel colors, but also removing details like cab windows and such, as well as white running plates. This is my childhood version, following the Hit Toys buyout, considering I grew up around the starting CGI and end of model series. Here's another Trackmaster Thomas. This is an odd one because I can't find a concrete year this was released in, but it was labeled on 2009 at the bottom, and it was released in various big sets like the Zip Zoom and Long Adventure, Shake Shape Bridge, and various other things. But I'm just going to call it the 2010 Thomas since that's right around the area of which it came out at, but it's an interesting design for Thomas, I suppose. Now here's a great one. Here is the Angry Thomas from the Thomas and the Freight Car set. One of my favorite Thomases in my collection. In fact, I think it's actually my personal favorite. I don't think anyone realizes this now, but these are starting to become increasingly rare now. It's very hard to find one for a decent price nowadays, especially with the eyebrows intact. I got lucky with mine, as it was the last one in stock at the time when I purchased it. All that aside, the angry face here is perfect, and the rest is just the stock standard Thomas as normal. Although I don't know which face it's supposed to be replicating. Is it this one? What about this one? Or this one? Very confusing. Still a goated item though. Top 5 for me, definitely. Here we have the Shock Thomas from the Thomas and the Jet Engine pack. I like this one a lot, it has the unique shock face and the faster motor, which means he can run it super fast along with the jet engine behind it. Makes sense as he goes super fast in the episode. Just wish he had a white running board and he would be perfect. Here we have a Revolution Thomas. This is when everything nosedived. They simplified everything here to make it fit on the chassis they used for literally every other engine in this line, and it looks awful. The overhang at the front is so ass, not to mention the geared traction tires that climb on the great tracks and whatever, which makes it a problem for traveling on regular TOBY or Trackmaster track, as well as the XX plastic underneath the chassis that gets caught up on points and shit. Unfortunately, I have a lot of this here in my collection, so be prepared for a lot of mid and ass variations of other characters. However, I did a modification to the stock standard Revolution Thomas, and I gave him the standard TOBY wheels. This was more of a test to see how well he'd work on standard TOBY and Trackmaster track, and it works a hell of a lot better than the Revolution era. And here's another one, just with no modded wheels. Here's a Revolution Metallic Thomas. I love the sheen, but it's a shame it's in this era of Thomas. Japan also did a Plarail Metallic Thomas, and it's way better than this. Just go buy that one. This one doesn't even matter. Here's a demolition of the Docks Thomas. This is whatever. At least it has a unique smug face. Here's the Meteor Thomas. A very shitty Thomas from a very shitty set. How fitting. Here's a glow-in-the-dark Thomas. I hesitate to even call it that because it can't even do that. It fails at doing its own job. Like, just watch. I rest my case. Here's the Monkey Mania Thomas. It's just another Thomas. Here is... I don't know, Mechanical Thomas? It's literally just another Thomas. Just whatever. Here's a Seagull Thomas. It's just another Thomas. Here is... Alright, now what am I supposed to call this? Like, I know it's a spiky bridge jump Thomas from the Great Race set, or from that bridge jump set or whatever, but the stretch paint and sparks make it seem like it's something else. I don't know what it's supposed to be. At least that unique expression is nice. It just sucks it doesn't fit on any other Thomas aside from this one. Here's the Steelworks Thomas. This is whatever, but a little exaggerated for it to be Thomas working at the Steelworks though. Could be potential for custom Ginty though. Here is what I think is the Rainforest Thomas. I don't know. Ace came in this pack with Thomas, but even then this is still very lackluster. The Ace in this set is very boring compared to the Plarail one. Alright, now this is scraping the bottom of the barrel for variants. This literally appeared for 2 seconds in the Great Race and never again. The only thing worth getting out of this is the little trophy and the car that comes with it. Don't ask how or why I have 2 of these. Here's a Mighty Thomas. I have nothing to say, it's just a regular Thomas. I'm also just getting through this as fast as I can to get to the actually interesting stuff. It's just a Superstation Thomas. The set it comes with is an utter atrocity. That's why I use it as a parts holder now. As for the Thomas, as a certain Trackmaster legend would say, aside from me,
just another Thomas.
Next up, Turbo Jungle Thomas. I think this is from some fantasy sequence from BOB-OMB, but I could be wrong. Also, the prints on the face are slightly off. I don't know how. Finally, a decent Thomas. This is the light-up Thomas from the Sword or Blackout line, which includes an orange electricity van and a Thomas with a light-up cab and headlamp. The box even had a hole where you could push the coal bunker to make him light up. Pretty cool. The only thing I really don't like about this is the shape of Thomas. He's way too tall and top-heavy, but a good variation. I like this a lot. Very nostalgic to me. I think this is also a Target exclusive if I'm correct. Here's an odd one. The RC 2012 Thomas. I do like that this is remote controlled and it doesn't have a permanently attached boxcar, but it's still a step down from the original Hit Toys version. It's pretty oversized and a little too tall, but oh well. Now ending off the Thomas lot in my collection is the Plarail Streamline Thomas. The streamlined body is a little elongated, but the 2-speed controls are what really sells this for me. Even came packaged with a blue Annie and Clarabelle. Really like this one. You can run it at normal speed or super fast speed. Gotta love that Plarail ingenuity. I like this one a lot. Finally, a new character. Here is Edward, the 2009 redesign. When I decided to complete the main cast, I set out to get the 2009 versions of the characters instead of the 2003 Plarail versions. as they were able to get more characters done than just the main cast, and also just for nostalgia reasons. I also like that they gave Edward his Season 12 face. Yes, I do like Season 12. Now deal with it. Also, I'm aware that the sticker on his tender is a totally different shade than the rest of his body. For some reason, a lot of things tend to appear darker on video than in person. I don't know. Maybe it's my iPhone quality or something. Here's the Trackmaster Revolution Edward. Oh, whatever. Next! And here's the same thing, but also glow in the dark. Next! Here's the Talking Edward. This is a weird one. He has the 4 lifted wheels like the 2012 Trackmaster Edward, and he's weirdly kind of rare now. I also have a second one, but a little bit more beat up. Here is Henry, the 2009 revamp, and the only Henry in my collection, actually. I like this quite a bit. He still has a double headlamps from the Flying Kipper episode, and a nicely painted face. A good model. Strange how mine has a TOBY sticker on the tender. Okay, a bit of a side note on that last comment I wrote there. This part isn't scripted, so just bear with me. I actually recently just got a new Henry to replace this one, because this current version of my Henry sucks ass. But the reason as to why it has a TOBY sticker instead of the regular Trackmaster one is because the original seller that listed this made a customization to it, but just labeled as the 2009 Henry. But now I actually have a new 2009 Henry with the correct sticker in place. So if this one seems a little weird to y'all, that's really the whole reason why. Anyway, back to the video. Here's Gordon, the 2009 version as well. Interesting bit of trivia, Gordon is the only member of the Steam team to not get a 2012 Trackmaster version. If you're wondering what that is, it's the version with the flat type drive unit. But because they never made one, they kept mass producing this one until Revolution took over. I still remember seeing this on the shelves with the engines with the flat drive units. Stuck out like a sore thumb on store bags. Here's the Revolution Gordon, whatever. Here's the Shooting Star Gordon from the Revolution era. This is a bit of a weird one. They gave him a really unique and awesome face, but botched the proportions of face size brutally. And they didn't even give him the turbo buttons underneath the chassis like the Turbo Thomas. Not to mention there's no 3-speed controls, just like the Plarail version. This had potential to be good, but it sucks sadly. Here's James, the 2009 revamp. This is a good version of James. I really like that painted face and the slightly brighter red than the TOBY James. Nice item, but not much more to say. Now here's one of the rarest items in my collection. The 2006 James from the James Works It Out set. First off, just why? Why did they make a new design for him? They could have very easily reused the tooling for the regular Hit Toys James, but decided to make a completely new tooling, different face, different cab windows, extra molding underneath the running plate, differently shaped tender, and no paint and handrails. And also no lining, but yeah, you get my point. I'm honestly impressed that they made a totally unique James for one set only that was only released in Target stores, and it's just such a baffling item, but such a great one. I don't have Hector or the set this guy came with, nor do I have the tunnel, but I will pick it up eventually. One day I'll complete the set. Next up is the Trackmaster Revolution James. Nothing to say. Next up, we have a 2009 Trackmaster Percy. Cute little green guy, but not much more to say. Here's a Trackmaster Revolution Percy, and you know, this is a prime example of why this era sucks. Look how fucking long he is! He's almost as long as Duncan at this range! Sorry about that. And also I modded his wheels. Moving on. Here's a metallic Percy. This is some credit I will give to the Revolution era, and it's that they gave us more metallic characters other than Thomas. I think the other characters that got this were James, Gordon, Nia, and probably Rebecca, along with Thomas getting a gold variant. The fact that they did more than Thomas is great, but it still sucks that this is Revolution. Here's the Speeded Spark Percy. This is another one of those ideas where they scrape the bottom of the barrel, and all this is just Percy with an LED behind his wheels that blinks when it's in motion. It's really bland, and I don't know why they wasted their money on this, but it's whatever. Here's Toby, the 2009 version, the best version of Toby out there. The TOBY version is fine, but the gray wheels are a little weird since it matches with the side plates. Also, the fact that you can still buy the TOBY version online and in retail stores is pretty amazing. But aside from all of that, this version of TOBY is pretty good. It has a painted face, the accurate wheel colors, and it still has the see-through cab windows. But not much more to say on this. Here's the 2012 Trackmaster TOBY. Almost identical to the 2009 model, except for the drive unit, molded face, different facial expression, and the lack of a middle wheel. And also those handrails on the doorways, which I never noticed until editing this video. I got this on the train show a long time ago, and I'm still surprised it works after all these years. Next we have Duck, the TOBY version from 1996. The most common version of Duck out there. Mine is missing its funnel cap and has had several maintenance jobs on it, but it still works to this day. Unrelated, but I actually got towed the brake pan recently, so now I have the complete pack he was originally released with. I will say, getting this was a huge steal. I got this on eBay a long time ago, and it came with Oliver and 2 red coaches. Definitely something I'm proud of buying back then. Here's something I'm not proud of buying. The 2009 Trackmaster Duck. I like this version, but the way the face is painted and the slightly differently shaded green is really putting off to me. But the actual reason as to why I'm not happy with this purchase is because mine has his 2 front wheels always pivoting to the side. And because of that, he frequently derails on the points and gets stuck on some curves and hills from time to time. He can also get stuck in between the rails like you see here. It's a good model, but this flaw is what kills mine. Hopefully one day I'll get a better one, but this is all I have for now. Yeah, here's the go. The 2006 Duck in a Close Shave. I love the episode, and I love this even more for the fact that they actually molded the close-up Thomas face and the shaving cream. Truly caring so much about these quality toys. I absolutely love this one. And the fact they released this exactly 20 years after the episode aired is still pretty crazy. I like this one a lot. Definitely a top 5. Here's kind of a mid one. The 2013 Duck in a Close Shave. I don't think this item sucks balls like most Revolution variants or some others out there, but I do feel like it's trying to do too much. It's also unfair that it's so ungodly rare and expensive for what it is. I personally think it's neat, but not the better Duck. Also, its shade of green is way brighter than the others. Weird. Also, I have lost 2 of these before. Yeah. Now this here is a custom. This is what I call the perfect Duck. It has all the traits lined out to make the best version of Duck ever. I didn't start this initially. I bought it from a YouTuber called Custom Trackmasters, who specializes in fixing motorized Thomas merch and making custom Thomas characters, like Alfred or Timothy or Wilbert. I think this Duck was part of some restoration video he did on a bunch of items that he bought off of eBay, but I'm not entirely sure which one. When it came to me, it had the combination of the Trackmaster face and TOBY sticker detailing aside from the lettering. All the other parts I painted out myself, such as the safety valve, handrails, and I gave him an overhead lamp, which was sourced from Bachman Thomas. Granted, the handrails was a bitch and a half to do, but it still looks nice. Top 5 for me. Generally, it's tough to say which of the 2 current Ducks is better, which are the TOBY and Trackmaster one, but I think I did him justice with all of these modifications. Here's Donald by Trackmaster in 2012. I do think it's awesome that Mattel finally re-released the twins after a long time, but they severely botched them by giving them plastic axles on the tenders and the same exact face. It also doesn't help that the knockoff versions are nearly identical except for the pink buffer beams and the metal axles. However, I gave them both silver handrails and tried to give them cab windows. At least they have something. Also, fun trivial fact about me, I actually got this Donald for my 9th birthday when I was a kid, as a gift from my mom. However, in 2012 they also released the Trackmaster Douglas to go alongside Donald, but I didn't get this until a year later because on my 10th birthday as a kid, my dad got me this as a gift as well. The correlation with the twins' numbers and my age is insane. Who knows, maybe they planned it. But aside from all of that, this basically has the same issues as Donald. Here's Oliver, the most infamous item in this toy line. Reason being is that he never made it to America, and he goes for crazy amounts if you try to buy him through US eBay. Thankfully I got mine a long time ago, so he wasn't super expensive and also came with my TOBY Duck. However, not being re-released under Trackmaster means he's stuck with the wrong wheel color and this horrifying face that has no eyebrows, at least for me. Aside from that, I picked out his handrails to not make him so bland. Now if only he can get his wheel color done. Here's Diesel, the 2009 version by Trackmaster. I really love this one. That matte finish, painted face, and heavy weight makes this no doubt an S tier item. It sucks that it has a chipped nose, but hey, this is what I paid for. Here's a Revolution diesel. Honestly, the only reason I'm keeping this is to turn it into the glow-in-the-dark diesel that LEEP video made a while back, which in my opinion is way better than this glow-in-the-dark Revolution diesel. Like Thomas and Edward, it fails tremendously at its job. I don't even know why I had this, to be honest. Also, guys, LEEP video reference! Sorry about that. Now, here's a, what do you call this? I'm just gonna call it the Tunnel Blast diesel since it came with this set. All I can say for this is that Diesel landed on Mars, and this is officially canon in my brain. Here's Bill. Now, looking at this, you might just assume that this is Ben, but it isn't. What this is actually the TOBY Bill with the face swap with the Trackmaster Ben, and it looks a hell of a lot better now. And here's Ben, who also got the same treatment. I like all the details of the TOBY Bill and Ben, but I wanted the painted faces of them both. Originally, I was just going to do the Trackmaster boiler on the TOBY body for both of them, like what Diesel D199 did in his Bill vs. Ben video, but I found out that the boiler of the Trackmaster model is a slightly different shade of yellow compared to the TOBY one. That pisses me off so much, since the lettering on the Trackmaster boiler is way better. That, and I didn't want to follow the Unlucky Tug route with these two, so in the end, I decided to buy the boiler and just do this instead, and pick out their handrails in silver as well. I love how they both have different eyebrows for each other, which helps make them both slightly more unique from one to the other. I really wish they did this for them in the show too, along with Donald and Douglas as well. Oh well. Here is Stepney, the Trackmaster version from 2010. I love that they gave him the smaller pupils with the paint update. Makes him a little bit more happy and upbeat. My Stepney is in horrendous condition. I lost his tube middle wheels a long time ago, so I tried to improvise. I will get a better one to replace this later on. Here's Dodge from Trackmaster in 2010. This is a good item, but I just wish he had the matte finish like Diesel. This was one of the most recent new unboxed items I got, though I never did a review on it. I also used to have Splatter, but he died shortly before I wrote the script. I'll have to complete this duo eventually again. Here's Diesel 10, the Plarail release from 2012. Plarail must have loved Diesel 10 if they kept re-releasing him all the way up to 2012, and still releasing him as of 2024. And is still purchasable on Amazon and other retail stores in Japan. Although he has had some minor changes, like the swapping of matte and glossy finishes, in which mine is in a matte finish, which I really like. There is a reason as to why I went with this version over the Trackmaster version, and here's why. There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and never finding a Trackmaster 2010 Diesel 10 with scrapes and scratches all over his face. Specifically the model series face, not the CGI face. Here's Harvey, the 2009 release by Trackmaster. Everyone hates on Harvey for the fact that he can't move on his own without a coach or car to push in. I'm a little mixed on that. I love the proportions on this and his 360 crane arm, but the Power Works unit does bring it down a bit. Although this is an odd counterpoint to that, the Revolution Harvey. I'm glad he can move on his own, but the proportions are way too giant and his crane arm can't spin 360 degrees. Although mine does, even though I probably broke the things that stop it from doing that. And he can't fit under most bridges and tunnels. Also, the leaf and branch details on the side are unnecessary as hell. I don't even know how I feel about this one. Here's Salty by Trackmaster in 2010. I went with this version over the TOBY version because I like the look of the black buffers a hell of a lot more. I also swapped his side rods with a spare Spencer I had since his side rods in the show are a lot darker. I also painted his handrails in silver as well, and he looks so much better. Here is Green Salty. Not too much to say other than it definitely exists, and this was only given to me by my mom during a soccer game. Thanks, Mom. Here's Minecraft Revolution Salt. You know what? Next! Here's Arthur, another banger engine in this toy line. His proportions are perfect, accurate wheel configuration, cab windows, white running board, great face. Chef's kiss. They locked the fuck in with this guy. Top 5 for me. Here's Spencer by Plarail in 2012? Not sure of the release date for this, but a decent Spencer. He might not have the silver paint like the Trackmaster version, but I'll stick with this for the time being. Here is... Molly. Molly generally sucks in most merchandise, and this takes a cake. Large and ugly face, tender powered, sloppy paint, no side rods, and ship portions? Who the fuck made this? They're bugging with whatever they did when they made this. I also kind of feel like this was one of those last minute Christmas gifts my parents got me just to fill up every gap underneath the Christmas tree. Here's Neville by TOBY in 2006, and now we're talking. This is gas, goated item. No power tender, accurate proportions, specially spoke bullied wheels, and an accurate face. Despite the eyebrows on mine being worn. Neville has 4 lines across the entire show and they do nothing with him, but his merchandise is what hit the nail on the head. Absolutely amazing item, even in all forms merchandise. Top 5 for me. Here is the Whiffy Woo Man, Whiff by Trackmaster in 2010. My Whiff is in shambles right now, but I will say I do like that they bothered to revamp him with a better face and painted the whistle and safety valves in gold instead of that flat yellow. Shame he didn't come with sticker cap windows. I will eventually replace this one day, as you can see the stickers are peeling away, but for now this is all I have. And yes, I'm aware his middle wheel is missing. Here's Billy Bob Joe by Trackmaster in 2007. He feels rather elongated for what he actually looks like in the show, but not much more to say about him. He's just good old Billy Bob. Finally, on to the first full CGI character now. Here is Hero by Plarail in 2009? Not sure again. This is pretty great, as Hero's just a Plarail D51 with the face. I don't know why they use a neutral face for him, but overall this is still pretty great. This is a pretty recent one. Recently got him about a couple weeks ago. And here is Patchwork Hero. I'm surprised they made this, to be honest. It's usually Mattel on the sake of making a multicolored engine for the sake of merchandise, but they never made one for Trackmaster. Yet Plarail did, and its only release was in Thomastown in Japan. Now it's discontinued, so I think the chances of something like this coming back are slim to none. Thankfully, I found it at a good price, new in the box. This is really awesome. Nailed down every detail, including the single blue wheel. Love this guy. Here's the Aquarium Hero. This is one of those multi-packs Plarail will release where they pick out a random major character and put him in the theme of random wagons. I think they did this with Percy and a circus, James and some bees, etc. They're not based on anything, and this is something that definitely exists and is pretty gimmicky, but a fun novelty. I don't even remember how I obtained this, honestly. I gotta patch up the number at some point since you can see it's withering away. Here's the funny purple guy himself, Charlie. This is also a very recent addition. Just obtained him a few days ago. He's honestly not that bad. Even though he has the same basis as Billy, I feel like he's better represented here. Short in length, all the details picked out, all around good looking. Although his face is kind of bare though. Sure, the prototype may have had cap windows and such, but I think this is better for what we got. Also, I'm aware Hero, Patchwork Hero, and Charlie have different backgrounds. That's only because they were improvised to be put in here the last minute, so that's why everything looks different here. And that's why you can see my shadow in the background. Here's the only Misty Island representative I have, Ferdinand by Trackmaster in 2010. Everyone hates the login logos, but I love all their merch and their characters. Ferdinand is no exception. The valve gear, proportions, and accurate wheel arrangement is all perfect. Another banger Trackmaster model. I don't have Bash or Dash yet, but I will fix that at some point. Also, why the hell is Plarail Bash so expensive? Here's the Talking Fiery Flynn by Trackmaster in 2011. I like all the details despite it all not being painted, but it's weird they made the decision to have the road wheels work but not his rail ones. Also, this is a personal problem, but mine barely fucking works. What I mean by that is the speaker for the sound actually works but not the motor itself. Meaning it can't freaking move and only serves as a speaker for Flynn. In short, yeah, I was scammed. But since I bought it for a really cheap price, I didn't see a point in returning it, so I'm just keeping it right here. Here's Den by Trackmaster as well. He's a little long and his side rods aren't painted, but this is somewhat decent. Way better than Dart's model. Here's Stafford by Trackmaster in 2012. A little elongated, but a pretty detailed one at that. No! Here's Porter, the final good Trackmaster in 2013. Next year, Mattel redesigned the line and it was in shambles until all engines go made it good again. I love how they went all out with these details here. So many rivets, separate details, and those awesome industrial stripes. Sadly, the wheels on mine are in a decrepit shape, but still held up after several years. This item had also got me back into collecting Thomas merch again after I stopped around 2011 or so. Here's, I think, the first new character under the Revolution era, Gator. The wheels and shape are really nice, but feels a little short, which contrasts how long he is in the show. Here's Timothy from 2014. My Timothy is modified to the regular Trackmaster wheels so that he can be a part of the better era, but aside from that, he's alright. Even though the side rods are static, I can forgive them here since this would have been a tough situation to tackle if they did give them side rods, but still a decent engine nonetheless. I also have a second one for some reason, I don't know why. Here's Samson from 2015. Until doing research for this video, I didn't even know there were two versions of Samson. His Greatest Moments pack doesn't give him a 15 number plate, but his Big Friends release, which is what I do have, gives him the 15 number plate. Other than that, nothing much more to say other than that I did a wheel swap with him as well. Here's Philip, also from 2015. Like Stafford, Dan, and so many others, he's really elongated and it doesn't look right at all. Aside from that, I did the wheel swap mod, but not much more to say. I also have a second one for some reason. Now here's one of the best items in this Revolution era, Hugo. This is undoubtedly one of the best. The proportions are perfect, and he has a propeller that actually spins as it moves along, complete with a perfect face to represent him beautifully. Unfortunately, mine is not as fast as he used to be, and he is pretty noisy, but this still slaps nonetheless. And here's a pretty mid one, the Flying Scotsman. I wish I could say something so utterly trailblazing about this, as this is the world's most famous engine and all of that, poster boy of steam and whatnot, but they had to ruin it with the steam clouds, gigantic ugly ass face, and terrible proportions. It's had potential to be good, but no, Plarail didn't even bother making Scotsman, so we're just stuck with this or making your own custom Scotsman. At least we have one instead of none. Here's another terrible one, Ashima from Plarail. I hate to say it, but Trackmaster did better than this. She's way too boxy, lacking all the paint details, face is too far forward, Cowcatcher is terribly modded, it's just a mess. I think we're at that point in time where Plarail was falling off, but Trackmaster started locking in. Here's Young Belle by Trackmaster in 2018, I think. I really do not know what to say about this. There's a lot of detailing on this body here, but it feels weirdly exaggerated and inaccurate. Not to mention the squish proportions, and the face looks weird too. Doesn't really look like the character. Here's Gina by Trackmaster in 2020, I think. This is actually decent. The rivet detail and the accurate face and lamps are nice. However, the length and the addition of a middle wheel is a little weird, although I have since painted over it. A weird model, but okay nonetheless. Here's yet another one of the rare items in my collection, Shane. I'm not gonna lie, getting this was absolute sheer luck. I bought him at a crazy low price considering how rare he is. Even crazier about Shane is that I could not find any information about his release, except that it was apparently only released in the UK like Oliver. As for the model itself, it's alright, not groundbreaking or utterly terrible. I gave him some customization however, like changing the drive wheel, painting the wheel rims, and gave him a better rear coupling. Completes this look so much better. Here's Lexi. This is also another elongated item. The four driving wheels that contrast with their 440 design in the show is a little weird. Other than that, this is pretty decent. Although the switch placement is a little annoying since I tend to get my finger stuck on the funnel when trying to flick it. Here's Merlin. Like the metallic Thomas and Percy, they made Merlin with a reflective metallic finish as well, which makes no sense to me. If they're trying to cater to the whole invisibility aspect of his character, why did they make him into a mirror? This is reflective enough to the point where I can see my own reflection by looking into the cab or the back of his tender. Quite a weird one. Here's Hurricane. Now I know they had to cater to using the same chassis for everyone, but this does not make Hurricane better than his Plarail model. He's even more squished than ever, and it's very annoying. Aside from that, everything else is kind of mid. Although I like his face, I think it's a little better than the Plarail version. Here's one of the only 5 Boba characters in my collection, Nia. I don't have a huge opinion on Nia in the show and in the movie, but her models are a little weird. Her Plarail model here is way boxier than it needs to be, and it feels a little squished as well. She looks way better than Ashima, but she doesn't feel complete like some other engines. And here's the other Nia I have. The Trackmaster one from 2019, I think. I don't know if I should say this is better than the Plarail version, considering it has better and molded detail, but also it has a face that's way too big and under the Revolution era. I guess I could say this is a bittersweet model, but I don't know how many of y'all would agree with me on that. Here's I think this is called a Hyperglow Nia. This is meant to light the tracks as it runs along, but I don't know. I don't even remember buying this at any point. Here's Rebecca. I personally never really cared for Rebecca, and I don't think that the show is going to care about her either because I haven't seen her in Legends Go. Well, yet at least. But the toy here is somewhat decent. Although at some point I will pick up the Plarail version, which looks so much better than what she does look like in the show. Here's the only bullet train I have, Kenji. I don't like this model Kenji because of the whack proportions and exposed wheels, but one day I'll get the Plarail version. Although it is nice they upgraded to bigger rolling stock at this point. And here's the final standard gauge engine in my collection, Duchess, or Duchess of Loughborough. For this being one of the last engines before all engines go, this is kind of a mid one. She's way too long, her tender is tiny, her proportions are whack. It's just not the best representation of the final CGI character. Still glad to have this nonetheless. I also gave her the modified wheels, so now she runs better. Now we'll move on to the narrow gauge engines. Starting off with the first representative being Scar LOFI, the Trackmaster version from 2009. Unlike the Steam team, I don't intend on getting all the 2009 versions of the Scar LOFI engines because they didn't make Bertram or various other engines in the 2009 style. Now originally he didn't come with moving side rods, he had static ones just like all the other narrow gauge engines in this line. And since I hate the static side rods so much, I had to replace them because they were just such an eyesore. And I am aware that Scar LOFI being an 060 here is inaccurate, but I actually like it more than him being a 042. I think this is a lot nicer. I know it's not accurate, but I like to envision him like this. Here's Rheneas. Like Scar LOFI, he's also a 2009 release with modded side rods. However, as you can see here, well, barely, he's in abysmal condition. Why? This is the exact same Rheneas from my childhood. If memory serves, I think he was one of the first engines I ever got as a kid. As you can see here, he's had lots of love from me in the past. I will be getting a new Rheneas at some point, but it's only because I think this one needs to be put into retirement at some point. And I don't mean for spare parts, I mean for sitting on display or something like that. I don't know. Here's Sir Handel from 2009 as well. I like this one a lot. He has a beautifully painted face, nicely molded boiler detail, and the accurate black wheels. It's weird because Sir Handel's wheels were originally white when he was first introduced, but when Plarail re-released him, he had gray wheels, and now Trackmaster finally gave him black wheels. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think Sir Handel has had the most wheel color changes out of everybody in the whole Motorized merch range, though I could be completely wrong. Also, something interesting is that most people don't realize this, but there actually is a knockoff version of Sir Handel that started sprouting up on eBay when the other identical knockoffs were being produced. How do I know mine isn't the knockoff? Well, the rear trailing wheel at the back is fully painted. On the knockoff, it's just left as blue. Sometimes the face can be weirdly painted on the knockoff as well, but because of the knockoff being mass-produced, however, this regular Sir Handel is actually quite rare now. Well, at least for me. Here's a more recent one, Duncan. Specifically the Dirty Duncan from the Runaway Elephant pack. Duncan in this range would have been good if they hadn't made him super long, but aside from that, other things he did were what the other narrow gauge engines didn't do, like moving side rods out of the box. Here's Duke, under Trackmaster hit toys from 2009. This is kind of a joke item since this is basically using the 2004 reference photos that were leaked online a few years ago, which includes the lack of side rods, brown buffer beams, laughing face, and lighter brown. Now here's a really odd one. Bertram by Trackmaster in 2009, or hit toys I guess. Probably one of the most elusive and baffling releases out there. The fact they even made him at all is astounding, even showing that he had a prototype at one point. Even stranger is that he's not a repainted Duke. He has exclusive tooling, flat cab roof, taller smoke box, bigger and different face, no side rods, including piston housing, slightly bigger tender, different boiler detail, slightly different frame details, and a different funnel. However, due to his limited release and only being made under Hit Toys, he goes for a pretty penny now, especially on sites like eBay. Which is weird because over 10 years ago, he wasn't that hard to find. But I guess times have changed now, and Bertram is truly a product of a bygone era, and I love it. Now here's a brilliant one. Mighty Mac by TOBY in 2006. The way they took on this two-faced engine is awesome. Normally coach or tender powered engines are very looked down on, but this holds the upper hand brilliantly. The fact they can switch to body so either engine can be at the front is so cool. Not to mention the fact they got the detail and color perfect, giving Mighty the yellow lining and Mac the red lining, and the accurate wheel configuration. And beautifully molded faces, a common TOBY W. I love this one. Now here's an interesting one. Proteus by Trackmaster in 2008. I'm hesitant to say that this is a Sir Handel retool, but the magic lamp above Proteus' face proves otherwise, coupled with the fact that he has gold side rods for some reason. Not to mention his prototype gave him the number 3 oddly enough. Regardless, I'm so glad this exists. I still love Proteus. Here's Fearless Freddy by Trackmaster in 2009. This is fine. He's got a nice detail, a nice face. Just not much to say. Here's Luke by Trackmaster in 2012, I think. I've seen people say he's way too squashed, even though he's meant to be squashed in the show and in his merch. Aside from that, this is whatever. Here's a Revolution Victor. It sucks and I hate it. Moving on. And here's the very last engine in this lineup, the Talking Yellow Victor. Trackmaster never did a Yellow Victor without anything permanently attached to it, so this is the only Yellow Victor I could get my hands on. Even so, I find it to be alright. I will get the Plarail one eventually, but it will be a long time before I do so because of these godforsaken prices. Okay, I may have lied about Victor being the last engine, but now for this guy. If you haven't been on the internet for a long time, you might not know who this is. This is an OC created by a very old kids channel named Toy Trains For You. This character is called Tom Moss the Prank Engine, a clever play on Thomas Tank Engine if you didn't realize, in which he's a very infamous prankster. Toy Trains For You originally made this character out of a flip-faced RC Thomas that came with the Tim Machete set, and was a very well liked character that they created, so much so that people started making their own custom versions of the character. And this is one of those fan-made customs. I don't know who made it, but I paid $20 for this as a joke, so don't expect much out of this guy on this channel. But even so, I highly recommend checking out the videos that Toy Trains For You made. Oh, but we're not done yet. We still have some rolling stock characters to cover, like Rocky here. This is the Trackmaster version from 2007, and is also the powered version with the crane arm. Even better is that the arm is magnetized, so you can actually pick up things with him. Even better is that his piston rod moves, his stands pop out as well. Such a fun item for a character that doesn't move. I really like this a lot. I'm not going to go over every rolling stock, just ones here that are notable characters. Here's Scruffy, the TOBY version that came in the Thomas and the Freight Car set. I don't have the plastic face Scruffy or Toad, as those are extremely rare, so this will do for now. I love that unique snarling face that he has. Here's Toad the Brake Van from 1996. This is decently detailed. You can actually see the brake stand on his balcony there, and it's really nice. But not much more to say. Here's Annie and Clairvaux from the Steam Along Thomas set. Before you holler at me, Steam Along Thomas was already broken before I made Annie into a single coach. Although I still wish they were both released like this in regular packs, considering they're accurately long and have great faces. I also have a blue Annie and Clairvaux that came with the Streamlined Thomas. I really like this color scheme. It's so sleek and cool looking. It gives me the same vibe as Bill and Ben's blue livery. I like it a lot. Now for the very last character I have, Skiff by Revolution. This sucks dookie, honestly. He doesn't have a separate chassis, and he doesn't come with a Sailor John minifigure. At least his sail moves, and he has a decent face. Okay, I do have a couple more. Here I have an All Engines Go Pull Along Thomas and Bruno. I hadn't intended on picking these up, but when I saw these on sale, running for $2 on my local Walmart, I decided why not. I gotta say, I'm actually pretty impressed with these. They're both almost fully die, and they roll as smooth as butter. Granted, they won't roll well on old TOBY or Trackmaster track, but they're both pretty good. I'm actually somewhat impressed. I'm not really into All Engines Go in general, but maybe I'll consider picking up some more merchandise. We'll see what happens. Okay, we got one last thing to show off here, even though it isn't Thomas, but it's still TOBY related nonetheless. And it's this thing. This was known as the Japanese National Railways C12, and this is Plarail's take on it from 2002, I believe. And the only reason I bought this is because, well, why not? Technically, I first saw UC Weapon reveal this, and I was like, it looks cool. It's rare. Better to have it than why not? And now I just have it. This is just a rather oddball of my collection, but I love it. I never considered getting any of Plarail's regular TOBY merchandise, the real life engines they make, but maybe I'll change that. Maybe I'll add some bullet trains or some more Japanese engines into my collection, but we'll see what happens. Now for the very last item in my collection. The biggest TOBY item I own. The little kingpin of my collection. My trophy engine. My baby. My fucking child. You touch this thing and your arm comes off, and I'm serious about that. The giant TOBY Thomas. I got this for Christmas in 2024, and I gotta say, it feels so great finally having this after so many years and not being able to obtain it. I think this is the 2004 version, and the set that it came with was the Even More Fun with Big Thomas set. What a mouthful. Which I think was re-released with less track and didn't come with the second layer that would have had the wide risers. Though I'm only assuming this from the box and the wiki because I can't read what's on the box, and the facts on the wiki are not very credible sources. So this is just what I'm seeing. Aside from all that, this is probably one of the best Plarail items, period, Thomas related or not. The amount of features on this is insane. You can twist the funnel to make the eyes move, his lamp irons act as stop and go levers for trains passing through him, as well as the one on the boiler. His tanks, cab, and back open up for places for you to store your engines. You can pull a smoke box up to reveal a tunnel. Behind his buffer beam is a switch that opens the doors for the lower tunnels. You can push down his whistle and he actually whistles, and there's a lever on the lower part of his chassis in which to release it. He becomes a freewheeling Thomas. So much functionality in this guy, and yet he's smaller than my air conditioner. Not to mention he's bigger than a G-scale Thomas. Need to remind you that's bigger than the show props. I could go on record and say that this is the ultimate Thomas, but I feel like any non-Plarail Thomas fans would shoot me down or something like that. Also, comparing this to the current Big Thomas Japan is making makes newer ones even stupider than they already are. Well, that was a rant and a half, but great Thomas, great functionality, great all around. Solid. 19 out of 10. I will hold on to this guy to the rest of my days. And that's everything, y'all. Those are all the characters I have. I do have a lot of rolling stock as well, but that's all packed into a container and I don't want to go through all of them individually, so I might just put a link in the description for you all to see photos of it. I also have some boxes left over from stuff I got before, but I'll probably include them in with the rolling stock as it kind of doesn't matter to this collection even though they're rarer than the engines themselves. But we'll see what happens. Also, I'm sorry for the audio quality varying throughout the whole video. This video was made throughout several weeks, so I apologize for any inconsistencies in my voice and just my overall volume, so please excuse that. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This took way too long to make, and I'm contemplating if I'll ever do something like this again. This was kind of an experimental project, and I just wanted to see how this would turn out. I don't know if I'll do more voiceover videos since I'm terrible at reading aloud or reading a script in general, but we'll see. I'm also still collecting more Erdl items, but I don't really have enough to make a full collection video of it. But when I do, I will make one. And considering there is no special 10 of a kind limited edition that can only be given away at special events like the Gold Thomas, getting Erdl items shouldn't be too hard. Also, one last comment before I end the video. I'm going to stop making review videos now. The reason why is because of the same reason as to why I ended my World's Strongest Engine series. I feel like I'm wasting my time with it and I don't feel motivated enough to even make them. When I do get something new, I'll most likely just put it in my community tab. I'm not quitting making content, I'm just making it at my own pace. I'll probably make another video on something else if it really needs talking about. Okay, now, thank y'all so much for watching, have a great day. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play with my trains.